My name is Matthew Sturkey with Stone Mill Log and Timber Homes. Started with Stone Mill officially in 1997. Been doing this about 24 years, from everything out in the field to doing project management to sales to marketing. So I've done a little bit of everything. I love this business. I love working with different clients and seeing their projects come to life. Stone Mill Log and Timber Homes, we started as a company almost 50 years ago. Actually, 1974 was our official start date. We specialize in the design, fabrication, and construction of log and timber frame shells. So we are basically a provider and an installer of the unique log and timber frame components. If you're building in the local East Tennessee area, we can help you find property all the way to do turnkey construction work. And that is just for local clients that are building within a 50-mile radius of Knoxville. Outside of that, our specialty is to design, engineer, fabricate, and install the log and timber frame skeleton or the shell and get it dried in. So that gives you a little bit of information about our company. As I said, we are almost 50 years old. We're family owned and operated, second generation. And we've built just over 2,000 homes in our 47 years in business. So gives you a little bit of information about us, gives you a little bit of information about myself. And want to talk a little bit about the goals for this presentation. As I said, it's educational. I'm not going to be up here tooting our own horn. It's not a sales presentation. This is to get you guys steered in the right direction. Who do you need to find to put on your dream team? You know, building that dream team for building your log or timber frame home. So that's the first thing, to educate you about how to assemble that dream team. And then what professionals do you need and what are their roles within the project? It's really important that you know who's on first. That old saying, who's on first, really important that you know what everybody is doing. And as I said, everybody on this presentation is a little different. We're going to have owner builders. We're going to have people that are going to hire general contractors. We're going to have general contractors that are on the presentation that are going to be building this themselves. We're going to have some people that are going to hire architects and some that are not. So this is not a one-size-fits-all process. And so we want to make sure you know exactly who you need for your team, and it will be a little different for each project. So those are the goals for the presentation. Just like to show a couple of projects that we've done along the way. If you want to get pictures of projects that we've done, feel free to go to our website anytime, to our gallery page, or follow us on Facebook. But getting started with the presentation, want to start first with, why do you need a team of professionals? Why would you need to build a dream team to help you with this building project? So more importantly, who is going to be involved? Why do you need to have a dream team, and who is going to be involved? And the first thing is the building partnership. We look at this as a partnership between professionals that are in place to help you build your project, to help you realize that goal, to help you get to that dream of building a log or timber frame home. And it's a long process that requires a lot of experience and expertise, and it requires the right people to be part of it. So selecting the right team is one of the most important steps in this building process. It is imperative that you find the right people. And if you're serving as an owner builder, finding the right subs or finding the right suppliers is crucial. So look at these professionals, look at the people that you hire like they're partners to you in a business. Look at them as trusted allies, trusted vendors and suppliers and professionals that you are going to use to get you and to help you get to that goal that you're trying to obtain, which is to build that home. And so it is, to us, it's a partnership of designers, architects, general contractors, land specialists, lending institutions, insurance companies, all of those people have a part in this process to help you get to that goal. So first and foremost, selecting the right team is paramount in the process. The second thing is I would advise you to make an organizational chart. And a lot of times when we work with clients, sometimes we see clients that don't really know who the actual leader is of the project. You are the leader of the project in every situation. Even if you hire a general contractor, you are still at the top of the organizational chart. Beyond that, it's going to vary with different projects. A client that is going to hire a general contractor, you'll be the top of the org chart, and then your general contractor may be next, and then all the subs are going to follow suit below. If you're hiring an architect, it would be you, then the architect, then the general contractor. If you're going to be an owner builder, it would be you and then your subs, or you and then your designer or architect and then your sub. So again, it's going to vary with every person. So it's good to know, and it's good to make an organizational chart for your particular project based on what you're going to be doing. So it's going to vary with each one, but it's important to go ahead and develop one so that you know who's on first, who's doing what, and you can start identifying who you're going to put into those positions. So if I'm a prospective client and I'm going to hire a general contractor, but I'm not going to get an architect, and I'm going to use the log home company to provide in-house design build services, then I'm going to be at the top of the org chart, and then my general contractor is going to be next, and then my log supplier is going to be next, and then all my other subs are going to be, after that. So it's important so that you know who's doing what, how is everybody, what are everybody's roles within the project. And then the third item is expertise and experience. And I can't underscore this enough, how important it is to hire people that understand this process and that have tons of experience and expertise in building homes. You don't have to find a general contractor that's got log home experience. It's certainly a bonus, but somebody that has experience in building a custom home, or finding somebody that is helping you with property, who understands what to look for in the land and who understands what plan you're trying to build, so that they can assess, hey, is this plan going to fit on the lot that I'm looking at? Or what are my setbacks? And does that plan that I'm looking at fit within those setbacks? You certainly don't want, for example, a real estate agent that is used to just selling pre-existing homes, because they may not understand topography and slope of the property and how that plays into your budget goals and building costs and some of those things. So experience matters. It's really important to have people that have experience with building custom homes or finding land in which to build a custom home, and making sure that you're finding partners that you can trust, that you can rely on, that you are good communicating with. If you can't communicate with somebody early on, they're probably not the best fit for you. Making sure that you are able to communicate, because communication and trust are two huge keys to making sure that you've got the right team in place for building your home. Licensing. Not every situation is going to require licensing for, let's, for example, take an owner builder. If you're building your home in a lot of situations, we have a lot of owner builders. Those owner builders are building their own primary residence. And in a lot of situations, in a lot of counties and in a lot of jurisdictions, you can build your own home and not be a licensed GC. Now, you need to determine or find out if you need to be a licensed GC in order to build your own home, because it varies from place to place. So that's just one example. Where licensing is going to come in. Or if you're building in a really high-end development, we've done projects out in Montana, Big Sky, Montana, for example. One of the developments that we built in, the HOA and the ARC, which is the Architectural Review Committee, required an architect to be part of the project. So we had to team up with an architect to provide an architecturally sealed set of plans. So make sure that you know if you are in a development, make sure you ask these types of questions. Who needs to be licensed? And then for licensing, for example, if you're financing and you're not paying cash, a lot of times lending institutions, even though you can build your own home as an owner builder, the bank may not allow you to do that. There are a lot of lending institutions that will not allow financing for owner builders unless they're a licensed GC. So make sure you ask those types of questions along the way. And then the last, certainly not least, everybody's heard of time value of money. And what does that mean to your project? Well, if I'm a professional and I'm generating a certain amount of income per week, per month, per year, and I decide to take on a project to build my own home, and I'm going to take away time from my profession to go out there and build my home. There's an opportunity cost there. There's a real cost associated with you not focusing on your primary profession rather than hiring a general contractor who is licensed and experienced and goes and does construction every single day. So be thinking about that. That is not to advocate for you being an owner builder or you hiring a GC, because honestly, about half of our clients serve as an owner builder. If you're a retiree and you've relocated to East Tennessee and you've got all the time on your hands that you need to be able to pull this off and to be able to line up subs and manage schedules, then that may be for you. And if you have experience in this industry, that may be for you. But if you don't, and you have a full-time job, you may seriously want to consider looking into a general contractor. That cost for a general contractor versus the amount of opportunity cost you're going to incur by not focusing on your primary profession and your primary source of income. So that's in essence how that applies to your project and what that means, because we don't advocate for one or the other, for you to hire an architect or not, or hire a general contractor or not. We support and partner with you no matter what, but you need to be thinking about how that affects you in your primary profession and your primary source of income and how that translates to your project. So that's why you would need a team of professionals, why you would be looking for a dream team in essence to partner with for getting this project done. Just some of the things that are associated with that. All right, moving forward, who do you need? Who's going to be part of this dream team? There's a lot of different people associated. And again, it's going to vary with every client. It's going to vary with every project. There are clients of ours that will pay cash. They're using equity out of a home that they sell, so they may not need a lender. They don't need a loan officer. So if that's you, take whatever information out of this that you need. There's about half of the folks that are on the call on the presentation already own land. So at that point, you don't need to find a land specialist or a real estate agent to help you do that. In a lot of situations, in the overwhelming majority of our projects, we are the designer. We're an in-house design build operation that does the engineering. So you're in essence getting a two for one in that scenario. But those are just examples of how it's going to vary with each person. So your dream team will look different than the next person's will. Starting with your loan officer and just some of the different people that you're going to need to assemble and that you're going to need to select as part of your dream team, making sure that, kind of that old analogy, what seat on the bus do they have, making sure that everybody's in the right seat, starting with your loan officer and your lending institution. If you are not paying cash, you need to find a lender that one is going to spend the time with you on the front end to pre-qualify you, to give you a good ballpark idea of what you can comfortably invest in the project. That helps you get aligned in the right direction. If you don't have a budget goal number, even if you're self-financing, if you don't have a budget goal number, then it's really hard for everybody else down the line to understand what your investment goal is. It's hard as somebody who helps our local clients find property. If I don't know a budget goal, I don't know what property to look for, what price range to look for. Because if, let's say you have a $500,000 investment goal. I'm just pulling random numbers, and that's all in. That is for the land and the improvements to the land and building the house. Well, if I'm looking at property that's 200K and you've got to make improvements to the land and build a house, then I'm not leaving you with a whole lot of room to build that house. So I'm setting you up to fail in essence. So that's the reason you need to be thinking about, what am I going to invest in the project? It doesn't matter for us. We're not trying to meddle in your personal finances. We're just trying to have a good understanding of what those investment goals are so that we can help guide and direct you and partner with you down the road. So find a lender that can pre-qualify you and give you a good assessment of what you can comfortably afford to spend on the project. It's not what you have, it's what you want to spend. Find somebody that's experienced in log and timber frame construction. One company in particular we work with a lot is Rural First, and they understand log home financing. They understand how comps work with a custom build. They understand how the draw schedules work with a log or timber frame company and the upfront money that's needed in order to fabricate the structure and have it ready for delivery, and the deposits that are required for that. They do offer things like one-time closes and construction to perm loans so that you can easily transition from that construction loan to that permanent loan. They get the whole construction process. And I'm not saying that they're the only one. You can very easily go to talk to your local lending institution and who you do your banking with and start there. That may be the best starting point, because that's where all your finances are held anyway. So start there and then branch out from there. If you don't get what you need there, go talk to people that specialize in rural properties or that specialize in log and timber frame construction financing, like a Rural First. And we can give you in our follow-up, we'll send you some links and some resources that will have some of these contact names and numbers as well. So that's what you're looking for in a lender or a loan officer, what their role is in essence in being part of your dream team. And that does not mean they are just on the front end, because once you close on that loan, then they're going to need to be involved in the draw schedule with the general contractor. So the lending institution and the GC are important interfaces with each other as well. For all you non-landowners, the next thing would be finding a real estate agent that has some experience with finding land, that doesn't just look at the land as a piece of dirt, that sees what your vision is long-term for building this home, that understands what your lifestyle goals are with the acreage that you want, with restrictions that you want. We get a lot of clients that are relocating to this area and they don't want restrictions. They're currently in a neighborhood and the neighborhood tells them what their mailbox is going to look like, and they don't want that. They want some rural property, they want some elbow room, they want some privacy. They want to be able to go out and shoot their gun if they want to, or they want to not see their neighbor right next door to them. And so they want certain things within the acreage, certain things within the property, certain location to a hospital or to modern conveniences and grocery stores. So make sure that the person that you're helping or that you're using to help you find land is asking some of those questions. Make sure that they're asking you questions about the investment goals that you have within the build, because again, you've in essence got three investments with the project. You've got land improvement, and then you've got the construction of the home. So make sure, plus landscaping and furnishings and things like that. But the big three being the land, the improvements to the land, and the building of the house itself. So make sure that whoever you're working with is asking questions about investment goals so that they know what price range to be looking at for the property that you want. Make sure they understand what your building goals are. And that's not to say they're going to know what it costs to build per square foot, because really only the design and the general contractor or your subs can figure the total cost out. But make sure it's in a ballpark. For example, again, going back to that example of, I've got a $500,000 budget. That's got to include the land and the improvements and the house itself. So I'm looking for a piece of property that's up to 100,000, and then I'm going to have $50,000 worth of improvements to the land. So I'm going to have $350,000 left over. And oh, by the way, I want to build a 3,500 square foot house. Well, that puts me in $100 per square foot price range. You can't build a custom home for $100 a square foot anymore, unfortunately. And so make sure that you're not left with something that doesn't fit what you want to build, the design that you want to build, the square footage that you want to build. And certainly we can help guide you in that process so that you understand. That's why it's important to make sure that everybody's communicating, everybody knows what your investment goals are, and everybody has experience to help guide you, through that process. Because I've seen clients come in, they've got a piece of property, they've made improvements to it, and they come in with a plan, and that plan is more square footage, or it's more complex, or it's on a 30-degree slope that's going to require more foundation work than they have budgeted for the project. They don't have the money left over to build the home. That's not where you want to be. That's not where we as a company want to put you in that situation. And there's unfortunately not this crystal ball that somebody can look at and say exactly what it's going to take to build. That's the reason you have to do due diligence and do feasibility and go through the process of trying to determine what that investment goal is going to be. So first person, loan officer; second person, real estate agent that helps you find land. There are land specialists out there. There's a couple of companies that we work with. If you're not local, you're outside of our local area from a real estate and a turnkey standpoint. There's a company called Whitetail Properties, and there's a company called National Land Realty. These are real estate companies that specialize in land transactions, the buying or selling of land specifically. That doesn't mean that they don't do pre-existing homes. It just means their focus is more on finding acreage, finding a lot, finding raw land. And that's important, because that's what you're needing is raw land in which to build a custom home on. So hopefully we're good here. The next person that you would select to be part of your dream team, and this is hopefully where it doesn't get a little confusing, is a designer or an architect. And again, I'm not advocating for one or the other. The majority of our clients, the overwhelming majority of our clients, don't hire an architect, one, because they don't have to, and two, because they don't need to. And that's because we provide an in-house design service, and we provide an engineered stamp set of drawings for wherever we're building in the country. So we, in essence, are serving, we're not an architect, we're not a licensed architect, we're an in-house design firm with the ability to engineer and stamp that set of drawings for you so that you can go out and pull permits and you can build from, you can get financing from. So if you are in a development that requires a licensed architect to be present and to be part of the project, then, as I said, in that hierarchy, it's in essence going to be you at the top of the organizational chart, and then it's going to be your architect, and then it's going to be your general contractor if you're hiring a GC. And in essence, in our scenario, or in our case, in that situation, then we fall in kind of right underneath the general contractor and the architect, because we're still going to put together what we call a shop drawing design that gets engineered and stamped. If you're building a timber frame and there's an architect involved, we're going to do a shop drawing for the timber frame itself, for the frame alone. That's going to be reviewed and analyzed and stamped by a licensed engineer. And then our drawing, our shop drawing, becomes a supplemental drawing to your architect's plans. So again, we're not advocating for one or the other, but if you are not wanting to hire an architect or needing, we do have an in-house design team that does go all the way through the plan process, and then we will do an engineered stamp set of drawings. So it's important to know who's doing what in that scenario and what your situation is. If you're going to be using a design build option, for example, like we offer, that is where you're going to develop a set of prints that's going to convey all of the details of your plan, from square footage to the layout to the pitches of the roof to what finishes you're putting on the home. If you're doing log siding in the gables, or you're doing board and batten, or you're doing natural stone on the foundation or cultured stone. So that set of plans becomes a very, very important document, central document that everybody needs to be working from. That should convey all of those specifics about your project and what you're wanting to do. And that's where all of your contracts should come from. It's from the plans, what's being done, what the scope of work is, what finishes you're estimating, because without a set of plans, there's no way to really get an accurate estimate on what it's going to cost to build. We're not going to get going down that rabbit hole on cost per square foot and those types of things today, because we're talking about building your dream team. But I will say, we've done other lunch and learn presentations that you're welcome to go to our YouTube channel and watch and listen to, that talk about land, or talk about finding a general contractor and what things you need to be looking for, or that talk about cost per square foot and budgeting and how to develop an accurate budget. But in essence, the person that you're finding here, the person that you're selecting here as part of your dream team, needs to be somebody that is going to develop a set of blueprints, develop a set of plans that's going to be able to convey what you're wanting to be able to do, so that you can get an accurate estimate, so that you can get financing closed for your loan, so that you can pull building permits when it comes time down the road to start breaking ground and getting this project underway. So again, designer or an architect. And again, if you were doing a design build option with us, we have an in-house design firm or in-house design team. And then we do all the structural engineering for the plans. The next person, or the next group, so to speak, is going to be your log or timber frame supplier or subcontractor, and somebody who, in essence, understands what the vision that you have for the project, somebody who knows what your total project budget goal is, and can look at what you've got, in essence, with the land, and look at what design you're after and what finishes you want, and help you generate a good solid estimate on the log and timber portion for the project, so that you can make sure that that fits within your budget goal, and help guide you. A lot of times, again, when we work with a client and they say, hey, we want to invest X in the project, and we'll ask, does that include the land or the land improvements? No, that's just for the house. Then we'll start talking about square footage and finishes and design. Have you picked out a design yet? What is that design? If it's a really complex design with a lot of corners and a lot of roof lines, we may suggest or recommend maybe a little smaller footprint or a little more simplified design if we're trying to value engineer to get you in kind of that ballpark range that you want to be in, for building that home. So it's going to be working with you. Make sure that you're teaming up with people that understand budgeting and what direction you're trying to go. And it's really important too, like for us, try to find somebody that has these trusted professionals that they work with on a regular basis. Like, for example, we've got lending institutions we can refer people to that understand our process. We have real estate agents that we can refer people to, or these companies like Whitetail and National Land that understand what you're looking for in land, and what questions to ask. we've got an in-house design team that will work with you to develop a set of plans, and then our structural engineer will review and stamp it so that you can pull permits, when it comes time to build. So making sure that these people that you're selecting, not only do you communicate well with, that you trust, but they all work together and they all communicate well together, and that they're all on the same page, and they're all on the same bus, going in the same direction towards, basically the goal that you have to build. So that's in essence what you're looking for and what the role is of your log or timber frame supplier. Somebody who is going to partner with you, who's going to support your lender, who's going to support the person that is helping you find land. If you have an architect who's going to support them and provide that supplemental shop drawing for the log or timber components or timber frame components for the design as a supplemental drawing. And then more than anything, somebody that is going to support your general contractor or your construction manager throughout that build process with those log or timber frame related items. We have conversations with general contractors literally every day about what our scope is and what to be expecting when we leave and what needs to be in place when we get there, and how to do certain things that relate to the log and timber frame structure, how to properly frame interior walls. Yes, these things are all included in details that we provide on our drawings, but it's also important to have somebody that you can communicate with if questions come up, because again, you're the leader of the project, but you've hired and entrusted your project with a general contractor. If he's a very experienced custom builder, but he's never built a log home before, you want to make sure that he understands exactly how he needs to finish that structure out if he's never built a log home before or he's never done a timber frame for. As I said, general contractor does not have to have log or timber frame experience. It's a bonus, but it's not a must. But it's important that you have people that are going to be working, that are part of this project, that are going to facilitate and that are going to educate and that are going to support and partner with that general contractor to see him have success for the finished product. So that takes us to the final person, or I'll say the one of the bigger parts of this dream team is that GC. And that GC becomes, in essence, really the hub for all of these people, for your log and timber frame supplier, for you, for your designer or your architect, for the person that's, that's providing financing for you. He is the person that's kind of managing, or he or she is managing this project for you. You have hired this person, you've entrusted this person to run and to manage your project all the way to the finish line. Still doesn't mean that he's the leader. You're still the leader of the project. You're still at the top of the organizational chart, but he is your really most entrusted person, with this project, unless you're hiring an architect, which in that case, the architect probably would be the next in line. So as I said, it's not imperative that you have somebody that's got log or timber frame experience, although it does help. We have contractor referrals around the country in certain pockets of the country, or if you're building locally, we can talk to you about doing what we call turnkey. But otherwise, what our role, again, just to recap, our role is providing and installing all those unique log and timber frame components, and then supporting you if you're an owner builder or your general contractor to get to the finish line, supporting them on how to properly finish out, those unique log and timber frame items. So you have to determine, in essence, whether you need a general contractor or not, based on your experience level, based on the time that you have, based on your financial situation, meaning if you're going to be financing that lending institution, even though you might have the time and have the resources to be able to do it, if you're financing, there are lending institutions that will say, hey, we do not finance owner builders. because they're in essence trying to limit the amount of risk in the project. So be asking these questions along the way, because you don't want to say, hey, my dream team, I'm the owner builder. And then you go to finance and they say, all right, well, where's your general contractor? Where's his license number? And where's his turnkey estimate? And you go, I don't have a general contractor. Well, we can't finance you if you don't have a GC. I mean, you don't want to get to that point and figure out that you can't do it and then be searching for another lending institution. So be asking these questions on the front end so that you know what works best for your situation and what works best for your project. And then again, as everybody needs to find a general contractor that understands what your project goals are, budget goals are, somebody that you communicate well with, that you trust. You're going to be spending a lot of time with this person over a course of, 12 to potentially 18 months, and sometimes shorter and sometimes longer. It just depends on the project. But you're going to be spending a lot of time with this person. You want to make sure you communicate well with them and that you trust them. And again, not going down that path, because we do have other presentations that we've done on what specifically you're looking for in a general contractor, or what you're looking for with a lender. So if you want to go back and watch those, you're more than welcome to. So those are really the big five, I'll call it, for your dream team. That does not mean that there's not other people that are involved in this project. We're going to talk a little bit about those before we close. Again, not limited to, but an insurance agent would be somebody that you would need to have on your dream team, somebody that's going to be able to tell you what insurance you need to carry throughout the project. They'll educate you and set you up with a builder's risk policy, which will cover material that's on your site, making sure that, your homeowner's policy, you may want to add a builder's risk policy, to that homeowner's policy. So whatever that situation is, you would call your insurance agent and tell them what you're planning to do, and make sure that you have all the insurance policies in place to be able to build that project. This is not talking about workers' comp and general liability, because that typically falls on the GC. Or if you're an owner builder, you want to make sure that every subcontractor that you're hiring has workers' comp and general liability, because ultimately, if you're an owner builder, they step foot on your property and they're not properly insured, it's on you, and you don't want that. And that's where the GC comes in. He's the one that is ultimately carrying the liability for the project. So insurance agent is important. You don't have to hire or find a lawyer for your project, but if you're doing a for sale by owner and you don't have a real estate agent representing you, and you're not comfortable with real estate contracts, and you want to have a lawyer look over it, or you want to have them review a construction contract just to make sure that everything's in place and that everything's covered, hey, that's fine. That's somebody that you might consider putting on your dream team, whereas somebody else may not. Somebody else may have a real estate agent that's going to take care of all those closing documents, that's going to take care of all the paperwork that's necessary to get you closed on that land. And then somebody that I recommend or will advise clients to consider on a project, especially if you're like me and you are not very good at selecting colors, hire an interior designer or a decorator to help you with some of those things, to help you with color matches and selections of roofing colors and log stain colors. That becomes tricky if you're not real experienced, and interior designers or decorators that might help you with a lighting plan. Even though you're not hiring an architect, somebody that might help you with a lighting plan, knowing exactly how much artificial light needs to be in the home when that natural light is not there and when that sun goes down. And that's a lot of these suppliers, a lot of these vendors, a lot of these subcontractors now will help you with that. They have people that specialize. We work with a local company called Kitchen Sales, and they've got interior designers that will help you lay out your kitchen cabinetry and your appliances, and they'll help you lay out your countertop space and help you with the design and the efficiency of the design of the kitchen. That's not to say that you need or have to find somebody like that, but if you need a little extra help, beyond what we do from a design standpoint or what an architect would do, certainly by all means, somebody to consider. So those are some other possible people that you might put, on the bus, on the dream team with you to build that project. And then in closing, as I said, and I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but this is just not a one size fits all. This will look different for everybody. And you have to, in essence, as the leader of this project, you have to decide what members do you need on your team? Who do you need to hire? Who do you need to trust to help you realize that vision and that goal of building a log or timber frame home? Who needs to be on the bus with you? What seat they need to be in on that bus to help you get there? And so it's going to look different for everybody. You need to determine what people you need to have with you. And then I would recommend developing an org chart and developing a flow chart so that you can see on paper, how everything flows and the big picture of this project and how this project is going to flow. If I'm a prospective client that is going to find a lender and I'm going to find somebody that specializes in land and I'm going to hire a GC, then I'm at the top. My general contractor's next, and then the subcontractors and the log and timber frame supplier follow underneath that general contractor. So it just helps you visualize, in essence, who's doing what, who's in control of what, and ultimately what their responsibility is. And it helps you develop that flow of the project so that you know who's on first, and so on and so on. So hopefully that helps you to kind of better organize, because organization, communication, trust, those are all things that are critical. And as we said in the beginning, the people that you hire to be a part of this project is critical to the success of the project. It's like with a general contractor, for example. The general contractor is ultimately only going to be as good as his or her project managers and his or her subcontractors. If a general contractor hires bad subcontractors, then that result is not typically going to be what you want. So the same thing holds true for you hiring people within your team, within your project, making sure that they have experience and they understand what your vision is and what your goals are, and making sure they know what budget goals you have, and they can help you realize that vision and get there along the way. So those are kind of the final remarks. As I said, there's a lot that goes into this. You need to find out what people that you need to hire within your dream team to help you realize that vision. So hopefully this has been helpful. I know it's a lot of information, and we covered that in about 45 minutes, which is what I was hoping for. Certainly we are here. This is, we're going to have a little Q&A session that you can answer, ask any questions, but beyond that, please feel free to reach out to your sales consultant that you've been working with our company. They can go back through any of this stuff with you. You're welcome to reach out to me anytime if you have additional questions. And as I said, we've got other lunch and learn presentations that will help address like what to be looking for in a general contractor, for example. In fact, we've got one of those in our portfolio. So that concludes the presentation. We'll open up the floor for any questions at this time and go from there.
Okay, Matthew, we do have a question, and this one is about some of the products that we have. Does Stonewall produce and build hybrid homes, log outside but not 100% log inside?
Yeah, so our specialty is log and timber frame construction. We look at a project if it's predominantly log or predominantly timber frame, that is a good fit for us. As I told a prospective client yesterday, they were looking to build a conventional home and they were wanting just to do some timber accents and some wood pieces that kind of fit within the design and the home, that's really not our specialty. So yes, if you are looking at a log home and you were wanting to do log walls, and then you're wanting to incorporate some conventional construction on the inside for, let's say, the roof system or the floor system, that is something that we could do. And in fact, we do offer options. We have what we call an essential package, because we say it's, in order for it to be a log home, it's essential for it to have log walls. If it does not have log walls, it's not a log home. And so, yes, we do kind of technically define that as a hybrid, project.
Okay, we have another question. This is a good one. At what point in the process are they able to get a ballpark figure for price per square foot to determine if they want to move forward?
Yeah, so that's tricky. We get asked that question more than any question that we get on the front end. We get asked what's it cost per square foot, and as I told somebody this morning, the real answer, the right answer is really, we don't know what it's going to cost, because until you have a design and until you know exactly where it's going to be built and what those building code requirements are and what the energy code requirements are and what the wind speed is and the snow load, and until you have specifications picked out for exactly what you want to put into the home, really can't get an exact number. We can certainly give you what we call spitball ranges or ballpark ranges of what our typical client typically spends on this type of build. But it's going to be disclaimed with, that's going to vary so much with location, with altitude of the property, with building code requirements, with who the general contractor is, and with the finishes, especially the finishes that you choose. We get a lot of clients that will start out wanting a full masonry fireplace, a nice 60-inch box, and they want to do a natural stone finish. And they get the price tag on that fireplace and they're like, no, don't want a fireplace anymore. I want a wood stove. So there's all kinds of ways to value engineer a build project to better support your building budget goals. And so certainly that's a question that we can answer for you on the front end. If you want to just talk about ballpark ranges, I would call your sales consultant and just ask the question, and they'll go through a lot of what I just went through with you to give you, that range.
And Matthew, he said to clarify, that would be if he uses stone mill for the dry-in phase.
Yeah, now that's a different story. We
Yeah.
can give you exact numbers. If you pick a plan and you pick a log profile, and let's say you want our 6x12 log on log profile, and you've got property and you want us to put a specific estimate together for a dried in shell on your property, we can give you, in fact, we work off of fixed numbers. We don't do ballparks, we do a fixed number. And we can do that at pretty much any time. Obviously we would want to have a conversation with you about your goals. We would want to have a conversation with you about budget goals and what you're trying to invest, what kind of square footage you're looking to build, what kind of plan you're wanting to build, to make sure it's in the ballpark range of the budget goal that you have. We certainly don't want to estimate a 2,500 square foot structure for you for a dried in shell, but your budget goal only allows or only will support a 1,500 square foot design, because there's a lot of time that goes in to the estimating. But so what I would say to you is that, contact your sales consultant. They will be available to talk through some of those budget goal numbers with you, what you're looking for, give you a good solid number. Even if you're just looking for a range on our part, they can kind of give you a range on our different options from our essential package to our premium, offering as well. So did that thumbs
Yes.
up if we're good on?
He said, thank you. So yes, I think we got the question answered there. Okay, we have another question. If Stone Mill provides the log and timber package, do you recommend starting with a general contractor first for their package?
So I would recommend starting with a design. I mean, in essence, to be able to go to a general contractor, a general contractor will need a more detailed design to be able to give you a solid number. So what a lot of our clients will do is they'll start our process. They'll either do our preliminary design service or our commitment phase, and then we'll develop a preliminary plan that they can take to their general contractor to start putting all the remainder of the pieces of the puzzle into place. Meaning, we're going to be able to provide a preliminary design with our in-house design team. We provide a fixed number on the material, delivery, labor, taxes for our log and our unique log and timber frame scope. And then that's what you, in essence, take to a general contractor, say, okay, here's what they do. Here's what they don't do. I need you to give me an estimate on everything else in order to be able to figure out what that total number looks like. And that's no different if you were not building a log or timber frame home and you are not on this presentation and you owned a piece of property and you wanted to build a custom stick and brick home, you would probably go to an architect first, or you would go to a designer to design a plan, or you would find a plan already designed in its entirety online. But even then, it's got to be tweaked some. You're going to want to custom design that plan specifically to your lot and your building code requirements and your snow loads and your wind speeds. So in essence, I would start with design first, because that in essence is the central document that everything derives from. That's the document that everybody estimates from. That's the document that your financing and your contracts come from and that everybody uses down the road. So does that answer that question? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I think we're good.
Okay.
So we don't have any other questions right now. I was looking back to make sure I covered everybody. Let's see, hold on, we might have one coming in. Oh, he says, yes, that did help. So thank you.
Okay.
Does anybody else?
Come on, we gotta have more
questions?
We gotta have more questions than this.
I know.
There's no way I answered all of them in 54 minutes.
Does anybody have any comments, questions or comments? Let's see, Leslie's got a question here. She says, we are looking at a move-in date of late fall of 23 or spring, summer of 24. When should we begin our process? That's a great question.
Great question. I'm so glad you didn't say move in fall of 2022, because I was going to give you some very bad news. So that great question. Let's say you're shooting, and in fact, I think, Dawn, don't we have maybe some Tip Tuesdays or even a lunch and learn on planning, scheduling? But I'm going to answer your question very quickly. So if I'm talking to a client and they say, hey, we want to be walking in the door fall of 2023, I'm going to typically say you want to break ground no later than fall of 2022. You want to start design and estimating 6 months before that. So you want to start about 18 months before you want to walk in the door. 18 months is a good, safe, conservative time frame. Be mindful of the fact that right now, everything is taking longer to build than we've ever seen before, unfortunately. So do plan ahead. We are very, we're such huge fans of planning ahead, making sure that you're starting early to give yourself plenty of time to get through the design process, the estimating process. You want to be able to have enough time that if you do a design, you get an estimate and it's over your budget goal, that you have time to value engineer, or we have time to go back and redesign before you come up with that final number that you turn over to a lender. And then the lending institution is going to take time. So honestly, I would say 18 months is typically kind of my minimum, because if you're going through the design process, estimating, that would be the place to start. And so if I'm looking to move in fall of 2023, I'm going to be starting my project. I'm going to be starting my design work in the spring of next year.
All right, let's see if there's any other questions here. Nope. Not yet, but I do have a comment. We have a comment from David. He says he's using Rule First on his land purchase and that they have been a great group and it's his first time using them. So love to hear good feedback from some of our partners.
Yeah, and it's important, as I said in the early part of the presentation, to find people that you communicate well with, that you trust, that understand what your vision is. It's really important to find those trusted partners. This is a partnership. You're going to be spending a lot of time with us. If you work with us, you're going to be spending a lot of time with your general contractor. You want to make sure these are people that not only do you enjoy being with, but that you trust to be able to take care of the things that you've hired them to do. So it's really important. You're the leader of this project all the way through, and you cannot waver on basically communicating your vision, your goals to your team, making sure that everybody is on the same page with you. They're on the same bus. You're the driver of the bus. We're all going in the same direction with you on the same bus. So making sure that everybody understands what that vision is, what your budget goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, that lifestyle that you're trying to get to. I've got a client right now that I'm helping find property for locally. And he said specifically, I want to find some land where I've got a little bit of breathing room where I can, if I want to go out and shoot, I can go out and shoot. And that's just not something that you find everywhere. You got to be very cognizant of what you're looking for in the land to be able to find that. Because if you find a piece of property and you got 10 acres, but it's right behind a neighborhood with 150 houses, that's probably not the best situation. So we want to make sure that we're looking for the right piece of land to fit those goals, those lifestyle goals. So no more about that. I really appreciate all the questions. I really appreciate the time. Appreciate the feedback as well. We are here. If you have any questions, please reach out to your sales consultant. You're also welcome to reach out to myself or Dawn anytime. Dawn, if you want to tell them a little bit about kind of follow up from here, what that looks like with the presentation. And then guys, I've enjoyed it. Thank you for your time today. And I look forward to joining us for the next Lunch and Learn.
Yes, so we have all of our Tip Tuesdays and our virtual Lunch and Learns are on our YouTube channel. You can see the link to that from our website directly, or just go to YouTube and search for Stone Mill Log and Timber Homes. We have over 100 videos posted on there. So, go in there, binge watch us if you get bored on a Friday night. And we also have our Facebook page. So go follow us on there. We try to post pictures that our homeowners are sending us so we can keep you guys, up to date on their projects and kind of what we have going on and all the new stuff that we have coming up, events that we're doing, other virtual events as well as our in-person events. So we do appreciate you all taking the time today to come out. If you need any marketing materials from me, just let me know. Otherwise, reach out to your sales consultant and they will help you along the process. So, and thank you, Matthew, for putting this presentation together. It was great. I'm sure very informative for all of our guests. So
yeah, and thanks to Dawn for the idea. When she came up with the idea, I thought, what am I going to say about that? And as I got into it, I found that there was so much more information to unpack than I thought. So great topic. And if you have any other questions about it, like Dawn said, contact your sales consultant or reach out to me anytime. Y'all have a great rest of the day and a great weekend. Take care.